Welcome to Fade to Chat, Golden Age Cinema. And I'm here with co-host Cindy Rotz. I'm Marty Gencius. And we looked at this was Cindy's choice this week. And we are going to be talking about the 1963 movie, The Pink Panther. Now, this is the first Pink Panther as conceptualized by Blake Edwards and essentially Peter Sellers. And it stars David Niven as Sir Charles Lytton, Peter Sellers as Inspector Jacques Clouseau, Robert Wagner, a very young Robert Wagner, as George Lytton, the nephew of Sir Charles of David Niven. Makes no sense to me. Capucine as Simone Clouseau, Jacques Clouseau's wife, and Claudia Cardinale as Princess Dala. It's an interesting film because from what I've read about it, and Cindy, you can take this was Cindy's choice, and I was hopeful for this. Having seen other versions of the Panther, I had never seen this film. When I watched it, it's like I don't know any of this. I've never seen it.
Wow.
So it was a first time viewing for me, and I think Blake Edwards' intent in this film was to make it sort of a James Bond alternative and have David Niven kind of thrown in the role of a jewel thief and as a master jewel thief. But because of change in casting, they got at the last minute, they got Peter Sellers for the Clouseau part. And I think I read on a ride from the airport, Blake Edwards and Peter Sellers decided Clouseau's going to have a different approach. It's going to be more slapstick, physical kind of comedy. And that's where I kind of lost the film. I don't know. You tell me your impressions, what you like about it.
It's so interesting that we do this, Marty, because I just thought you would love that part. This film, the more I watched it, the funnier it was. The first time I watched it, I thought, okay. But the more I watched it and I really focused on Peter Sellers, the more I really enjoyed it. And I thought with your loving, like the Marx Brothers and all that, I hated that one, Duck Soup. I did. I'm sorry, I hated that movie.
But this movie steals a scene. This movie steals a scene from Duck Soup.
I know
we'll
it
get
does.
to that later on.
It borrows it. It borrows a scene. Yes, it does.
I saw Clouseau as a cuck. I guess there's no other way to put it. His wife is cheating on him. He is obviously affection starved, and he tries to set up opportunities for his wife, and his wife is constantly putting him off because she's having an affair with Sir Charles Lytton, and possibly also his nephew, because his nephew is attracted to her too. He just comes off not funny, but almost kind of sad. Because I felt for him. And then some of the stuff is, okay, so he steps on his violin. Ha ha ha. The funniest thing, the thing that actually got a laugh out of me, a vocal laugh, was when he's sent into the bathroom to get a sleeping pill for his wife and supposedly for himself. And it's off screen. You don't see it, but you hear him open the bottle, and then you hear all of the pills fall and hit the tile on the floor. That got a laugh out of me because it was off scene and it was all kind of in your head. And then that's never mentioned again, which is okay. That's fine. But you kind of expected he would slip on the pills, or there are some, when you think that this is going to be more of a physical comedy, there were some expectations that you would get out of it. And it just wasn't there for me. The champagne exploding in the bed and getting everything wet. And, there were the two other places that got laughs for me was when there is a place to hang your suit, a device to hang your suit, valet, and he puts his hat on it and it slides off. And he tries to use it for multiple things, and it just doesn't work for him. Right. And then the other one that came as a complete surprise to me was when Sir Charles falls out the window and into a huge snowdrift.
Yeah.
And then they do a street shot with the people talking and the wall of the snowdrift that obviously they had built up around the resort. And he just literally walks out of the snowdrift. That one, so that was it. I mean, it didn't do it for me. And particularly, you've got this sad sack of a guy who he's clumsy, but he's not funny for me. And in the end, he goes to prison. I couldn't, and then I watched it again a second time. And at the end, they say, well, as soon as the Panther, or not the Panther, what is the name for the thief?
Yeah, as soon as the Panther strikes again.
Oh, they called him the Panther at the end, but they were chasing, they were chasing someone. They kept the guy the glove, the P represented something else.
Phantom.
The Phantom.
The Phantom, yeah.
For the life of me, when putting the show together and thinking of this, I could not remember the Phantom. But I think they say, at the end, maybe they say the Phantom. I'll have to go back and look at that. Or do they say the Phantom?
They must say Phantom.
As soon as he strikes again, then they'll let Clouseau out so there's some redemption in that. But I just thought the twist at the end was too much legally.
All right. Well, I will agree with you that I didn't like the very end where, he's taken off, by the prison guys, the policemen to prison. But all those women, they said, well, all these women adore you. The flowers were for my wife, and somebody tried to tear his clothes off. So I guess after he gets out of prison, everyone's going to be, so in love with him because he is the Phantom. But his wife,
after he gets out of prison,
was in that little car.
Yeah, after he gets out of prison, because people realize he's not the Phantom because the Phantom has created another crime. So his stock goes down at that point.
True. And meanwhile, his wife's sitting off in this little car. I thought, well, his wife's not even saying goodbye to him as he's leaving for prison. That part bothered me. And she's sitting in the car waiting for David Niven and Robert Wagner, and off they go on their next adventure. So I kind of agree with you. That part wasn't real satisfying, but I never thought of him as sad. I just thought he was kind of clueless and, like you said, clumsy, but.
Yeah, and maybe it's because I looked at it from the gender aspect of it. He was constantly being put out by women around him. And so that's why I say he I don't think cucks are funny, but that's the role he essentially plays in this movie. And I wouldn't have naturally said that of a Blake Edwards film, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've seen Panther films, and they have evolved. They now have, like, the son of the Pink Panther was the one that was terrible. The nephew of the Pink Panther. They have extended that that franchise, and I think I was trying to find it. I did find a copy of it and watched it, but it kept stalling out on me from my server, so I wound up purchasing a copy through, or renting a copy through Apple TV, and they have a box set of like 10 Panther films for $59. And I thought, nah, I don't love them that much. But I think when Steve Martin took over the role, those movies are actually funnier. Now I have to go back and watch A Shot in the Dark, which was the second one with Sellers, and Pink Panther Strikes Again. And then you get into the ones where that poor inspector winds up trying to get rid of Clouseau all the time, and it doesn't work out. It has a long mythology and arc, but I think the ones with Sellers were kind of slapstick funny, where he gets into fights with his butler and all of that. That's all part of the mythology in the Sellers versions. But I think the Steve Martin ones were clever funny in a different way. So
I'll have to look at that. I don't like Steve Martin.
he his challenge in that movie was to deal with the accent, because that's what Sellers did so well. But he takes off on that. Like, there's a whole scene where him wanting to order, because he falls in love with American hamburgers, and just him trying to pronounce hamburger. It's just, and people keep trying to correct him, and it keeps, that is kind of clever funny with it. And then there are some other things that he does in the film that in the workplace would be considered inappropriate, but he's completely clueless. So he's constantly being called into HR for the things that he does. It's interesting. Those movies. I'm not a student of those films, but I've seen them, and that's sort of my thoughts or my impressions. Peter Ustinov was the original Inspector Clouseau. He abruptly quit the production. Now, Peter Ustinov would have been interesting. Peter Ustinov also did a Hercule Poirot film. I think it was Evil Under the Sun, back in the 70s or so. But he quit the production and got sued for $175,000 for breach of contract, and I guess lost that, from what I could tell, with it. I don't know what else in here. Oh, can we talk about Fran Jeffries?
Did you like her?
Yes, I did. Interesting character. Okay. Has that breakout scene in this movie that was a single shot of her performing the music that they play in all different variations throughout the whole film, because they can't come up with anything else for the soundtrack but some version of that song. And I can't even remember the name of the song, but if listeners watch the film or viewers watch the film, you'll hear it and go, oh yeah, I've heard that. It's sort of a bossa nova kind of song. And she does that in a single shot, the whole song in a single shot, panning with her around the crowd. And the second time I watched it, I watched the crowd, because you have to watch the crowd. Those folks had to sit through that, and I don't know how many takes, but this was a single shot. They have to sit through that and look interested. And if you look at the background people that are even further back in the shot, they're like really dancing out to it. Yeah, so she went on to a career in sort of nightclub performance, which obvious makes sense from this. And little known fact, appeared in Playboy twice.
Oh.
She did a pictorial called Fantastic. I think it's called Fantastic. I'll have to go in my closet and check. It's called That's not all equipment in there.
I caught that.
She did one called, I think, Fantastic or Fan-Tastic. And then another one that was Fan-Tastic again. So she appeared like, I don't know, a good 10 years difference in Playboy. So she an interesting character. And she pops up in a lot of scenes. Unless you look for her, you won't see her. And then if you're watching this film and you see her do this solo bossa nova type song, then if you, I watch it a second time, I see her in the set in the background throughout the film.
Know that.
Yeah.
I know that. A couple of things you said that made you think they were funny. Just little things that it wasn't even Peter Sellers this time, but at the party when everyone was dressed in costume, that zebra made me laugh. He was drinking from the punch bowl.
Yeah.
Remember that scene?
Yeah.
And Peter Sellers said, "I'm going to have your stripes." Which,
Yeah.
But I just thought the zebra, and then the zebra appeared at the end after the car chase. It's like the zebra's running down the road. I just thought that zebra was funny.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed the second time I watched the party scene was people were in different characters because it was a costume party. And they might be dancing with their character partner. So you had the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland, and he's dancing with someone who could very well have been Alice. But there were a couple of people that were in period dress. And although they're playing that obnoxious bossa nova over and over again, they're still dancing like they're dancing in the period that their costumes were in. So they weren't like, there's a lot of twisting going on in that movie from the 60s. But in this particular costume party scene, people were kind of dancing in terms of their period. David Niven doesn't come off, for me, doesn't come off as a debonair, suave, to die for attractive man.
Oh, I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
He's not your classic. He's not like Cary Grant. Nobody is. But there's a certain something about him. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I are going to
see
disagree on that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, the scenes with him and Claudia Cardinale where he's trying to woo her, for me, were kind of cringeworthy. It's like, okay, old uncle, get away from the young girl.
I agree on that part. He was better suited to Peter Sellers' wife. Excuse me. They were better suited together.
Yeah. So, and some of the narrative around all of the relationship stuff, just to me felt like it didn't add to the plot or the narrative at all. I mean,
I didn't understand Robert Wagner's role.
Yeah, he was just kind of a creepy.
Why was he there?
Yeah, and don't remember about Robert Wagner. Don't go on a boat ride with him.
Marty, Jesus. Yes.
Yeah, I used to like him, and then that whole thing, happened.
Wife.
Yeah,
Natalie Wood. Yeah,
Natalie
she's
Wood,
beautiful.
and it was like, this does not feel good.
Yeah.
Intentional or neglectful, it still has kind of tainted me with Robert Wagner. Interesting thing about him, though, and Capucine, I guess is how you pronounce her name, in the bath. Did you read about that or hear about that?
Yes, I did.
So I had to watch it a second time to actually see him in that bath scene. They have some stills that show him with his head popped out of the water that are like close-ups. And so I'm looking for him that whole time for his head to pop out of the water. And I'm like, wait a
No,
minute,
it
did
didn't.
no, it did. Well, it did. It is a reflection in a mirror that Clouseau's out talking on the phone, and it's sort of like the mirror on the bathroom door reflects
Oh,
into
really?
the foot end of the bathtub, and his head pops up.
Oh, I missed that.
Because they use some type of industrial strength bubble chemical to
Foaming
keep the
agent.
bubbles. And I when I was watching it, I'm looking at the tops of the bubbles and they're just popping away. And I thought, if this is an industrial strength bubble thing, first of all, they could have done it with some other plastic or form instead of having to put an agent in the water to make that happen. But it burned, and it burned the skin of Capucine, and also Robert Wagner because he was submerged in it. His head was underwater. It affected his corneas apparently to the point where he
Eyesight.
couldn't see for a while.
Yeah. Don't you think they could have used like a bubble machine or something to just
That's what I
blow
was
it?
thinking
You
because
know? Yeah.
or cut the scene, put some more bubbles in there. It might have been a
Yeah.
continuity thing, but still, even in the scene that was printed and that we saw, you could see the tops of the bubbles kind of breaking away as you would expect
Hmm.
it to. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you'd think they would have just a big bubble machine that they could, okay, let's do another
Right.
scene and refill it
Right.
because it's another scene, it's another take. It doesn't, there's not going to be
Hmm.
continuity from one to the other. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a weird piece of trivia with it.
Yeah, I read
So
that. The other thing that just, again, this is just me, and I've been to Italy, and I was always fascinated by how tiny some of the cars were. Like even the street cleaning machines, like the street cleaners and the garbage trucks, they're like a quarter of the size of what we have here in America. But
yeah,
the gorilla, when he was driving that red car, it just looked almost like a circus car.
yeah,
That made me laugh. A big gorilla in that tiny little red car driving around.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was weird when he pulls up to the gate to try and get entrance to the party with that.
Yeah. And I did like not I didn't like David Niven necessarily with Princess Dala. I agree with you on that. But I liked it when she was lying on that tiger rug and she was whispering into the tiger's ear when she was drunk.
Drunk.
I thought that was kind of cute. And he looked at her and he kind of smiled like, yeah, she's had enough to drink because now
Yeah,
she's talking to the tiger. But the part I didn't understand was she apparently was so drunk from the champagne that she passed out. They dragged her into the bedroom and put her on the bed. And the next day, she was perfectly fine.
yeah,
Like, she wasn't hungover. She was perfectly fine. I thought, for a person that has never, she said she never drank. I thought that seemed that didn't fit for me.
yeah. Well, you're assuming she's telling the truth there with "I never
Well,
drank
yes, I
before."
am. I
Um,
am.
yeah, I like this little trivia. Presenting at a later Academy Awards ceremony, Niven asked that his walk-on music be changed from the Pink Panther theme. They were going to play the Pink Panther theme when he walked on. He goes, "This was not really my film."
It's not my movie. Mm-mm.
Yep. And there's a film that it's all right. It's a caper film, and it is lots of dubbing in it. So lots of English language dubbing because of the characters that are in it. But the film is called Topkapi. And Topkapi is Topkapi Palace in Istanbul. And so I watch the film just when I get travel weary of not having been to Istanbul in a while, just to kind of see the scenes and see the parts. Well, Peter Ustinov dropped out of this film, reasons unknown other than it cost him $175,000 in a lawsuit to do it. Mm-hmm. And instead he picked up Topkapi. And then Sellers took this film, and Sellers was supposed to be in Topkapi and dropped that part, and Ustinov picked it up, and then Ustinov goes on to win an Oscar for it, in a Best Supporting Role. So Sellers starts the tradition of all the Panther films, and Ustinov gets an Oscar for the film that he dropped the Panther films for, Topkapi. I would say the only reason I'd make you ever watch that film is because Ustinov is pretty good in it, and because I'd want to take a look at scenes from Turkey again. It wouldn't be top on my list to watch.
You have mentioned that movie several times. How do
Really?
you spell that? Yeah, you have.
Topkapi. It's from 1964.
Okay, I'll have to look it up. Yeah, you've talked about that quite a few times.
Oh. Well, that's what memory will get you. Yeah.
So you probably didn't have any quotes that you wrote down.
No, it was mainly those actions that I saw that were pretty remarkable and that made me laugh. Remarkable because they were the few items that made me laugh during this film. The chase scene, come on, it was wacky round the center of town with the old guy stepping into traffic and then stepping out of traffic and sitting and watching it. Yeah, okay.
And you didn't like the gorilla scene because that was...
Oh, I didn't say I didn't like it. It was an homage. Yeah, it was an homage. Mm-hmm. I mean, Lucy did it on an I Love Lucy episode with
Harpo.
With Harpo, and it was redone in a lot of other films because that's such an iconic. Yeah.
I did lose track of who was who. I was trying to think. Okay, which gorilla is David Niven and which one is, Peter Sellers? I lost track. So.
Was Peter Sellers a gorilla? I thought it was George.
Oh, I meant George.
Yeah.
I meant
okay.
George. Yeah.
Yeah, the nephew, Robert Wagner's piece.
Oh. Yeah. No, Peter Sellers was running around with a firecracker.
Yeah, and I don't know, having a bunch of fireworks go off in your house as a plot element is really it really got, but it's Blake Edwards kind of over the top stuff.
Mm-hmm. I did write down a quote that he said this a couple times. Well, part of it. It was one of the bedroom scenes where he was coming out from the bathroom and trying to get into bed with her, and I think his hat fell on her head and it got stuck on her nose kind of, and he said,
yeah,
"Oh, my darling, don't panic. All that's happened is that my hat has caught on one of your on your naughty little hairpins. I don't know, that made me laugh, just the way he referred to it. And then he talked about the bubbles. He said, those naughty little bubbles in the bath. I don't know, that made me laugh a little bit.
This Clouseau and Peter Sellers doesn't do the over the top French accent in this film. It's very kind of clean in terms of his pronunciation. Because in the future films, the standard jokes are nobody can quite understand what the hell he's saying. And that's kind of picked up, and that's the starting point in terms of the Steve Martin films, I think. But there's just not a lot of over the top French, exaggerated French accent in this film. So
No. What was exaggerated was the relationship between he and his wife is, oh my darling, oh my darling. I mean, that was just that was overdone, to the point where it's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the
Oh
fact
my
that
love, oh my
she's
dear.
cheating on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
They don't seem to have any affection, physical affection, or otherwise
no,
known affection in that.
no.
So yeah. So this was the titles, and this bothered me a little bit. So I looked at the title and watched the title sequence and kept looking at the animated Panther, and and then watched the titles, and it was like Fritz Freeling and somebody else did the title sequencing for it, and it's like Freeling cartoons. And there is a style that the Panther is drawn in that fits with some of the styles of the cartoons that we remember growing up. So,
Right.
he developed Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Tweety, Sylvester, Yosemite Sam. And if you look at the styling of the Panther, it kind of fits within that whole frame of art or animation art with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When I watched it this morning, I watched just a little bit of it this morning. I didn't notice that little white glove that was floating around. Did you see that little white glove
Yeah.
that had the P on it? That just totally escaped me. The white glove from the movie with the P on it.
Yeah, well, that
Probably
is
because
yeah.
I didn't realize, until I watched the movie that was his trademark signature, like his calling card. And then I went back and went, oh, okay, so that's why they have the little white glove with a pink P on it. Made sense.
Yeah, and who is what is that? I keep wanting to say Panther, but it's not the Panther. It's the
Phantom.
Phantom.
Phantom. Hmm?
Yeah, and it's a white glove. It's not a pink glove, which,
It's a white glove
which
with a pink P.
P on it. Yeah.
Hmm?
Well, apparently David Niven didn't want a second shot at this movie because, assuming he was still alive. Sir Charles Lytton did return in The Return of the Pink Panther in 1975, were the diamonds stolen again, and this time it's from a museum, but the person who plays Sir Charles, Christopher Plummer, which, from The Sound of Music, the Von Trapp,
Yeah.
Mr. Von
Yeah,
Trapp.
yeah.
So yeah, interesting replacement for David Niven. So that would have been 11 years after this film's release. So I don't know how long David Niven survived, but
Did you read the trivia about his, I don't know if I should even say it, about shooting the scene in the freezing Italian Alps? They had
yeah,
a
go ahead
little
and say it.
problem there. They said he had a most painful souvenir from that scene because his costume was rather thin and he suffered frostbite in a very private area. And so that he wanted to warm himself up, he apparently dipped his private parts in a glass of whiskey. And he said it worked to warm him up, but the pain was excruciating.
Well, here's the thing. If it's alcohol and
It's going to burn, isn't it?
it might burn. That's one thing. But when alcohol evaporates, it cools the surface temperature. So it's going to just make his private part cold.
Cold again.
So I don't figure out. David Niven lived, by the way, to 1983, so he would have been eligible for the role to return as Charles Lytton, but for whatever reason chose not to, or maybe wasn't offered it, and instead a perhaps younger Christopher Plummer fit that role better. I read that about the whiskey and didn't quite understand it. There were some other scenes, like when he's brought off, when he comes into someone's room and he's been out in the cold and he's kind of fake shivering it, and you can see the flock that they put on him to make him look like he's out in the snow, and it's so poorly done. It's like it's not fooling anybody. They could have maybe even gone without it, or gone with something that was a little bit more crystal.
That's true.
Like
That's
ice
true.
versus, it was just stupid.
I agree with that. Yeah. Although the part where he fell down from the ledge and fell down and then walked out through that block of snow, that was funny. And he just went, good evening.
That was a surprise for me because I saw him fall off. Of course, we saw him fall off, and then you saw the street shot, and he just kind of walks out of the wall. And I'm like, how did they set that up? How did he get in there? Was that a complete set that they carved out and then they kind of put pieces in there? I'm curious about how that gag was done with it. So I don't know. Any other things that you want to talk about with this film?
Well, I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. It's interesting, to hear your reasoning. I understand now why you didn't.
Yeah.
I still did enjoy it, though. I thought it was a good film, and
it's okay. I mean,
I can understand it from your point of view. I get it.
I'm glad I saw it, because first when I started watching it, it's like, I don't recognize anything in this. About halfway through, it's like, no, I've never seen this film. So it's good that it's been added to kind of my mental archives of seeing films. But was surprised about it because I maybe expected more out of it than what it was given credit for. And if this was the first of a series of films, I can see why it started an interest in this character of Clouseau, but it was not well developed in this film for me, and I wanted to find out how they were going to end this film pretty much after David Niven started wooing the princess. It was like, please, let's get this to the end. And Robert Wagner, as few scenes with you in it as I can handle, that would be great too. Because he didn't really play any critical plot role, did he?
Well, except at the end where he tried to steal it as well.
Yeah, well.
And then it sounded like he was going to join up with his uncle and they would team up maybe, and if his uncle retired, if David Niven retired as the Phantom, that he might take his place. They were
gonna plan a trip to South America, because in the car at the end they're like, we can get a family, thing for South America.
Family discount, yeah.
Family discount. So apparently that did not launch Robert Wagner's career as the son of the Pink Panther, though. Yeah, they could have done that movie without Robert Wagner. If you think about it, Charles would have come to the same conclusion that when he broke into the safe, it wasn't there, that she had already removed it without having a second gorilla in the room to do it. But yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think Blake Edwards gets writing credit, but also Peter Sellers does too on this film. So
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, if you have no more from your notes,
On to the next one.
On to the next film. We're going to tackle one that still keeps us in the 60s, from 1961. Before we recorded this episode, and before every episode, we kind of decide, okay, it's your turn, what you're going to pick next. And there were some on my list that were challenging. Bridge on the River Kwai, which I know we might get to someday, but I know that has a war concentration camp kind of thing, and that's not your style. Seventh Samurai, which is 3 hours and 42 minutes, all in Japanese with subtitles. I would watch it. You might see how remarkable a film it is, but I'm not going to subject you to that. I will consider at some point. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum, but I didn't want to torture you with another musical. So if you see that film, then you've seen my two favorite contemporary as it can get musicals. You would have seen How to Succeed in Business, and then also A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. There is a lot of slapstick comedy, and Funny Thing Happened. Zero Mostel is just over the top. Zero Mostel. And there is, there's some good music to it, but then, all of the characters are named with sort of double entendre names in the film, in the musical. So, but we're not going to see that, are we?
No.
Not this time.
No, but Marty, I forgot. When you said, is there anything else? We forgot to talk about our number one listener and viewer, Brian. Did Brian watch this movie, and how would Brian react to this movie?
I don't know if Brian watched this movie, because I haven't heard from Brian through our email. We can ask him when we see him at MacStock, which we'll both be at MacStock in the next couple of days. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Aileen was asking me this morning, now, am I going to meet her? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. We'll meet.
Oh, yeah.
And she says her name is so cool. So, no, I do not see anything from Brian in our email as of recent. Brian, I know, has been really busy with his job, so maybe he hasn't. I would say Brian would love this film.
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought he would too.
Yeah, we get to spend some time with Brian. It'll be he and I. You can tell, just like a mirror, when you look into it, what reflects back at you and what doesn't. And it's interesting doing these shows with you, because we're on to our 37th or something like that.
Yeah, how about that?
Episode. And after all of these episodes, we get a predictable sense of what are you going to like or what are you not going to like, and maybe some surprises.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. I would think Brian might not enjoy this film. This would be a hard take for me to figure this one out with Brian's thing. But we both have seen Breakfast at Tiffany's, which will be the film that we do in our next episode. Probably not for 2 weeks, because we're going to be gone and out Monday and when we usually record. And so we're not going to tie ourselves down to do a show, a week from now, but maybe in a couple of weeks. We will take a look at Breakfast at Tiffany's from 1961. So we are creeping back out of the 60s. And that, of course, was directed by Blake Edwards, the same guy that did the Pink Panther. So we have that Panther thread that goes through this, based on a Truman Capote short story, I believe. And I believe it was a short story, not a full novel. And Truman Capote, interesting character in and of himself. I think he had some conflicts with this film, and particularly the ways in which Edwards decided to end the film. But we'll get into that a little bit more. You and I'm going to call you out on this. You said the film's going to make me cry because of the cat.
I know. I might be okay this time because it's been a while. What if I had recently a cat that had passed? It would be
Okay.
too. That's why. It's not because it's a cat, but if it's been a number of years now, so I can probably watch it. But if it had been like soon after I had lost a cat, that would really make me
Yeah,
sad.
think of it this way. The cat is in this movie is just a metaphor. All right.
I know.
It could have been a lizard. It could have been any other pet. It's
And
just a
that wouldn't bother
metaphor.
me at all. It's just that this cat and the rain, and I
Yeah,
know. I'm
yeah,
a sap for that kind of stuff. I'm a real, yeah.
yeah. It could have been a feral weasel, and
There
it
you
would still
go.
have been a metaphor. But
That's
nobody
right.
would go searching for a feral weasel in the rain. So
True.
I guess it has to be a cat. So next episode, Breakfast at Tiffany's, directed by Blake Edwards, starring my love in a past life, Audrey Hepburn.
Mm-hmm.
George Peppard, who, interesting character, much more out in the book than he is in this movie. Yeah, he is definitely trying to stay in the closet in this film. And Patricia Neal, who is a great actress, I'm not sure. I feel sorry for her in this role. So yeah, writers Truman Capote and George Axelrod. So George Axelrod probably did
Seen
the
it.
version of he did the version of the screenplay for this, most likely. Known for The Manchurian Candidate as a writer, The 7-Year Itch, which we talked about, as a writer. The Lady Vanishes.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, Goodbye Charlie, which he
Oh,
wrote
I
the
like that
play.
one too.
And so, yeah, he's done some really cool stuff in his history on writing. And he apparently was co-author of the screenplay for Breakfast at Tiffany's. So, well, I think that's a wrap for this show. I've got to get this produced and out today, and I'll get some short clips out from it if there's some good ones in there that we can use. And I'll see you in 2 days' time,
Yeah,
2.5
looking
days'
forward to
time,
that.
most likely. And yeah, so thank you for joining us on Fade to Chat, Golden Age Cinema. And really, it's fun doing this with you. It'll be fun catching up with you in person in a couple of days. You bring so much to this, even when you bring films that don't wind up exciting me.
We agree to disagree.
Well, I don't think it's a disagreement. I think it's just a difference in taste,
Difference of opinion. Yeah.
and that's cool because I probably wouldn't have chosen this film on my own. So you choosing it and me finding out I'd never seen this thing before, it just kind of adds to my, my background and my experience with it. So it was fun exploring this and fun learning some more trivia about it. And getting to look at it as the beginning of the arc of the Pink Panther in a variety of characters and such. So thanks for doing that and doing this show together. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@fade2chat. You can also contact us through email at thepodtalknetwork@gmail.com. Brian, if you're listening, we're waiting for your reviews. And you will have a plane flight that you can listen to this podcast and previous podcasts. So send us an email. Whether you're Brian or not, we like to get emails from listeners and viewers of the show. And you can find out all about the network at thepodtalk.net. That's the website that contains the different podcasts that I do and am on. And this is an important part of that. So when you get the chance, spread the word to other Golden Age cinema lovers. And remember, keep the projectors rolling.